Have you ever wanted something so badly that you ignored all the warning signs God placed before you? Have you ever convinced yourself that your desires align with God's will when deep down you know they do not? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to hear an animal speak, or what it means to be so blinded by ambition that even a donkey can see what you cannot? What if I told you that one of the most unusual and profound stories in the Bible involves a prophet, a king, a talking donkey, and an invisible angel with a drawn sword? This is the story of Balaam, a man caught between the allure of wealth and the command of God, a man whose journey reveals the lengths to which God will go to protect his people and the dangers of allowing greed to cloud our judgment. Before we explore this incredible Bible story, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help it reach more people and encourage their faith. If you're new, make sure to subscribe for more uplifting Bible stories that will inspire and strengthen your faith. The story begins in the plains of Moab, where the Israelites, having wandered the wilderness for 40 years, are now camped on the edge of the Promised Land. Their numbers are vast, their presence imposing, and their reputation fearsome. Balak, the king of Moab, is terrified. He has heard of how the Israelites defeated the Amorites, and he knows that his own kingdom is no match for them in battle. Desperate, Balak devises a plan, not to fight with swords and shields, but to wage a spiritual war. He decides to hire a renowned diviner, a man named Balaam, to curse the Israelites. In the ancient world, curses were believed to carry real power, and Balak is convinced that if he can weaken Israel through supernatural means, he can defeat them. Balaam is no ordinary man. He is a prophet, but not an Israelite. He hails from Bethor, a city near the Euphrates River, and his reputation as a seer has spread far and wide. People believe that his blessings and curses are effective, and Balak is willing to pay handsomely for his services. He sends a delegation of elders from Moab and Midian to Balaam with a message. A people has come out of Egypt. They cover the face of the land and have settled next to me. Now come and put a curse on these people, because they are too powerful for me. Perhaps then I will be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. When Balaam received the messengers, he did something unexpected. He inquired of the Lord. That night, God spoke to Balaam and gave him a clear answer. You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. Numbers 22:12. Balaam relayed God's words to Balak's messengers and refused to go. However, Balak was persistent. He sent an even more impressive delegation with greater promises of wealth and honor. This time, Balaam's heart wavered. He already knew God's will, but the glittering promise of riches was too enticing. Instead of standing firm, he sought God again, hoping for a different answer. God, seeing Balaam's true motives, allowed him to go, but with a strict warning. Go with them, but only do what I tell you. Numbers 22:20. Balaam, thrilled by the opportunity to gain prestige and wealth, saddled his donkey and set out on the journey. But something strange happened. God was angry with him. Balaam had technically obeyed, but his heart was full of compromise. As Balaam and his 2 servants traveled, the angel of the Lord stood in the road with a drawn sword, unseen by Balaam. His donkey, however, saw the angel and turned off the path into a field. Balaam, furious, beat the donkey to get it back on the road. The angel moved further ahead and stood in a narrow path between vineyard walls. Again, the donkey saw him and pressed itself against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot. In anger, Balaam struck the donkey a second time. The angel moved a third time, this time to a place so narrow there was no room to turn. The donkey, seeing the angel again, simply lay down. Enraged beyond reason, Balaam beat the donkey mercilessly. Then, In a miraculous moment, God opened the mouth of the donkey and it spoke, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" Numbers 22:28. Instead of being shocked that his donkey was talking, Balaam argued back, "You have made a fool of me. If I had a sword, I would kill you right now." The donkey replied, "Am I not your own donkey which you have always ridden? Have I ever done this to you before?" Numbers 22:30. Only then did God open Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn. Terrified, Balaam fell face down. The angel rebuked him. "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is reckless before me." The angel told Balaam that if not for the donkey, he would have been killed. Trembling, Balaam confessed his sin and offered to turn back. But the angel allowed him to proceed, again with the warning to speak only what God commanded. When Balaam finally arrives in Moab, Balak is eager to get started. He takes Balaam to a high place where they can see the outskirts of the Israelite camp. Balaam instructs Balak to build 7 altars and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for sacrifice. After the offerings are made, Balaam goes to seek a message from the Lord. But instead of a curse, he delivers a blessing. "How can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced? From the rocky peaks I see them, from the heights I view them. I see a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations, who can count the dust of Jacob or number the 4th part of Israel. Let me die the death of the righteous, and may my final end be like theirs." Balak is furious. "What have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies, but you have done nothing but bless them." Balaam replies, "Must I not speak what the Lord puts in my mouth?" Undeterred, Balak takes Balaam to another location, hoping that a different vantage point will yield a different result. But again, Balaam blesses Israel. God is not human, that he should lie, not a human being, that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it. A 3rd time, Balak tries, and a 3rd time Balaam blesses Israel, this time with a prophecy that reaches far into the future. "I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel." This oracle is often seen as a messianic prophecy, pointing to the coming of Jesus Christ. Balak is beside himself with anger. "I summoned you to curse my enemies, but you have blessed them these 3 times. Now leave at once and go home. I said I would reward you handsomely, but the Lord has kept you from being rewarded." Balaam responds, "Even if Balak gave me all the silver and gold in his palace, I could not do anything of my own accord, good or bad, to go beyond the command of the Lord. I must say only what the Lord says." Though Balaam failed to curse Israel, his story did not end there. He later advised Balak to seduce Israel into sin through Moabite women and idol worship, Numbers 31:16. This led to a great plague that killed 24,000 Israelites. In the end, Balaam's greed led to his downfall, and he was later killed in battle. Numbers 31:8. The New Testament condemns him as an example of those who love the wages of wickedness. Revelation 2:14. This story is a powerful reminder of God's sovereignty, the danger of greed, and the importance of obedience. It shows us that no human plan can thwart God's purposes, and that he can use even the most unlikely means, like a talking donkey, to accomplish his will. Let us learn from Balaam's mistakes and strive to align our hearts with God's, trusting in his plans and resisting the lure of worldly gain. Here are some life lessons from Balaam's story. Partial obedience is still disobedience. Balaam followed God's command outwardly, but had a heart full of compromise. God desires full obedience, not just technical compliance. Greed and compromise lead to destruction. Balaam was willing to twist God's will for personal gain, which ultimately cost him his life. God can use anything to speak to us, even a donkey. Sometimes God uses unexpected sources to get our attention. Are we listening? You cannot curse what God has blessed. No enemy, curse, or scheme can override God's favor on his people. The devil often uses temptation when direct attacks fail. Balaam couldn't curse Israel, so he led them into sin. We must be watchful against subtle compromises. Balaam's story is a sobering reminder that gifts and spiritual knowledge do not equal godliness. A heart divided between God and worldly desires will ultimately lead to destruction. Will we be like Balaam, who ignored God's warnings for the sake of gain, or will we choose obedience and trust in God's perfect will? Here are some questions to reflect upon. Have you ever ignored God's warning signs in your life? What happened? Why do you think God allowed Balaam to go, even though he initially forbade it? What are some ways we might try to manipulate God's will for personal gain? What does this story teach us about God's sovereignty over blessings and curses? How can we ensure we are listening to God's voice rather than our own desires? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the strange and fascinating story of Balaam and his talking donkey. I hope it challenged you to reflect on your own life and how you respond to God's voice. See for more deep dives into Bible stories that inspire, challenge, and transform. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and share your thoughts in the comment section below. What stood out to you most about Balaam's story? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay faithful, and keep seeking God's truth. See you in the next video.